Today on the podcast, we have a chance to speak with the man, the myth, the legend, the godfather of fitness, the Laux executioner, Todd Laux of Pride Fitness himself. Stick around.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we get to learn from our CFE coaches, occasionally meet and learn some of our local CFE CrossFitters, but we also get to meet and learn some of our from some of our Glen Ed community leaders and business owners, which is what we get to do today. So excited about it. I am your co-host, Dallas Amston, your Speak to Lead and your Communicate to Succeed coach. So excited to be here. And with me, as always, my co-host, G. Skell.
What's up, guys? Coach G here from CFE. Today, I'm super excited. We get the opportunity to speak with the man, the myth, the legend, the godfather of fitness, the Laux executioner, the man, the founder of Pride Fitness, Todd Laux himself. Todd, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you here.
I'd like to say I'm happy to be here, but I'd be lying. I don't want to do that to your all your listeners.
So this is fascinating to me, Todd. Is like I have heard about you for years, and I think that like my world and the people I hang out with, and then your world, people you hang out with, like there's a ton of overlap there. I think we know a lot of the same people. And being in the fitness space, it amazes me that today is actually the first time I've ever had a chance to meet you at last after many, many years of hearing about the legend.
I like how you're buttering me up right from the beginning. But yeah, you and I have been Facebook friends for a long time. And somehow kind of you build these weird sort of relationships on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Social media. Like I feel like I've known you for a long time just from following you and seeing all your things on social media, but you're right. We've never actually even had a Zoom like meeting like this before.
Well, until today. So Dallas, would you tell us what we know about Todd?
Well, here's what we know. First of all, for those of you watching the video version, you know he is set up with the coolest gear. He is wearing a Viking helmet as well as a Thunderdome shirt, which I'm ecstatic about. Thunderdome. But Todd is also, just for those of you who don't know, he is the self-professed owner, trainer, and janitor at Pride Fitness in Wood River. And he is a former general manager at the Hit Squad, but he is so much more than that. G-Scale, tell us a little bit more about what you know from Todd.
Todd is an agent for positive change in this world. He's a philanthropist, a podcaster, I would dare say a motivational speaker, since I find his rants to be highly motivational and they personally inspire me and they fire me up to go and dominate life, eat lightning, and crap thunder. The Pride Thunderdome is famous in our area, in our community, for being a wild place to do fitness, but not wanting to steal Todd's thunder, pun intended. We will let Todd tell you that story himself. So let's get into it. Dallas, fire it up.
All right. Well, Todd, easy question right out the gate.
Okay.
What is Pride Fitness in your own words?
Gym. But I like to, and probably Greg does, I like to think of it as more than that. You know, I like to kind of think of it as a community of like-minded people. You know, it's not your normal gym where you just come in, get your workout done by yourself. More of a, you know, you're building a tribe, so to speak. You know, we use a lot of lion symbolism here. So you're establishing your pride, like a pride of lions, sort of. And, you know, people, like I said, everybody comes here with the same sort of goal to be a better person, better version of themselves. And I like to think of that as a place for those who become better versions of themselves. It just happens to be through physical fitness and your healthy well-being that we do that.
And I've heard Todd describe Pride Fitness as sort of where like Muscle Beach meets like the penitentiary, like gym yard. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you because I'm gonna get you over here for a workout. I established like a outdoor like sand pit that we call the Thunder. I haven't used it a lot yet because it's still in the making. But yeah, when I started, and I'm kind of jumping forward, but I started Pride in my yard, my literal yard. And so that's exactly how I described it. Kind of because we were outside, and most of the stuff was homemade. It was just, penitentiary / Venice. You're outside, but you're also using like homemade type of. But yeah, it's a good description.
I love it, man. What's crazy is like everything you just described can also describe like the roots of CrossFit Edwardsville. Like our first equipment, our first barbells were long PVC pipes we got from Laux that we filled with sand and end capped it so it had a little bit of weight. Our first medicine balls were basketballs that we cut open with a knife, poured sand into it, taped it up with what we call it Gorilla Tape, and then like weighted. I think those were our first medicine balls. Our first gymnastics rings, we literally baked them in the oven, molding like PVC around a paint can to form the ring, like just like that super humble origin, literally leading workouts in our yard and keeping the barbells and the plates in our living room, like a stack of plates with a throw over it. That was our first coffee table back in the day.
I totally remember you guys doing. Weren't you guys parked for a while?
Yeah.
Sort of
yeah,
like
we were
like that.
Yeah, we were in the pavilions at the park. We were in basketball gymnasiums. We were in church foyers. I mean, humble roots, but I feel like that's where you cut your chops as a fitnesser, as a leader of fitnessers. You develop the skills, start humble and build up from there, my man.
Yeah, and I see a lot of gyms fail. It's because they come out and they buy all this rogue equipment, buy all the best of everything. You know what I'm saying? It's not about like our slogan when we first started with Pride, just trying to get people to come there. It's like you don't need a fancy equipment, you don't need these fancy like fad workouts. You just got to go up. And these people going out and buying all this fancy equipment and stuff like right at the beginning, it's a terrible plan. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if you're good at training people and things like that. So I love that start. How you guys exact same way I did, just making. I always put up pictures of like different things. One of my favorite is I had a wheelbarrow that didn't have any. It was just like the whatever barrel part.
The barrel, so to speak.
And I poked a hole in the end of it. I poked to it, and we pull it like a sled, and push it, and that was a sled. It was just an old used wheelbarrow without wheels. I love it.
That's awesome. I love it, man. And Dallas, in terms of like the audio here, do you think headphones might help too, or
it might help? Todd, I don't know if you have headphones or not, but you're cutting out. We're losing you like every third, fourth word.
I do not. Let me try something here real quick.
Like earbuds, if you have them. So to our audience at home, we're gonna try and see if we can't do some fine tuning on the audio for the Laux. So we're losing some of the audio. Let's find out in a second. Go ahead, Todd.
Is it any better?
Right now it is. Sounds better now.
Is it better now?
Yeah. For the moment,
okay.
Yeah. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
So everybody, as G was just saying there, one of the things, anytime you deal with remote recordings, this is some of the stuff you can run into occasionally. Todd, go ahead and talk to us one more time here. I'm not sure you're fully back yet. Can you hear
Todd?
us, Todd?
I can now.
Okay. Well, we'll dive deeper into the Pride Fitness story shortly. But first, let's go back in time and get to know Todd a little bit better. So, Todd, tell us about your upbringing, your childhood, like where you're from, what your family was like, any special memories that shaped you as a person. Like, tell us what Todd was like in high school.
Well, I was actually born up in Calhoun County. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Calhoun.
Yep.
I was born in a little town called Campsville, 400 people. I think it's down to about 200 now. I think the flood is just mostly, but yeah, and it was very, very rural. You know, I grew up without air conditioning. Our house had a tin roof on it or whatever. So very, very, very rural. I'll tell you one thing, talking about things that shaped me is at my grandmother's house, my dad's house, we found in what they have a smokehouse. And inside that, I found this old barbell. It was about this long. I still have it. It sits on my desk today. And my dad made that when he was a little kid, like 60 plus years ago. And
That's
he made
awesome.
it has concrete on the end with the metal coffee cans. And I still have that to this day. So I always think back to that, like him making that equipment 60 years ago. And, 50 years ago, here I am doing the same thing. So I think just seeing that, when as little kids, we would always try to pick it up. And as you got older, you'd try to squat it, and then later curls for the girls with it. I think he just kind of my dad was a Vietnam veteran, and when he came back, we were always had us doing push-ups. Like I said, our house was this really old farm. But we always had a chin-up bar going up the steps to where we live. So we're going up the steps, you're doing chin-ups. The way down, you're doing chin-ups. And I think that I didn't know it up until the time, but I think that influenced a lot of like what I do today.
Sure.
So yeah, I lived up in Campbellsville, town of about 400 people until I was about 15. So the middle of my sophomore year, my parents had gotten divorced, and my mom married a guy that lived down in Bethalto. Now, Bethalto and Campbellsville couldn't be different. Like my friends in Campbellsville thought I was moving to the city. Like it would be so now Chicago. So when I moved down the middle of my sophomore year in Calhoun, we went to state championship in football. So soon as the day 2 days after the state championship game, I was going to Bethalto, and so really a sore thumb, like coming from Calhoun and moving down there. So, but immediately getting into sports, it just sort of, you know how it is. If you play sports, you immediately bond with people like that. It made it a much easier transition for me.
That's awesome. I love the story of your grandfather there, man. That's just fantastic. It's like
my dad.
Oh, your dad. I'm sorry. Oh, you said your granddad. So what's cool is it's just in your blood, man.
Yeah, I didn't start probably until like 12, 13 years ago. I always worked out, and I was always hoping to, but really never thought like that was falling to go to. Even though I had been doing it and studying it for forever,
Yeah.
Well,
give us the scoop. Tell us what it's like a day in the life of the Laux executioner.
Well, immediately in the morning, I wake up and start pissing excellence. And
I love that.
Movie to all your joke. I have my classes start every morning at 6 a.m. So the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. for me. I probably like Greg, like you guys, I have, morning rituals that I try to do. That's really what kickstarts your day. I get up immediately. I have song playlist kind of when I wake up. As soon as I get up, before my feet hit the bed, I'm playing that playlist of music I just love,
Yeah.
And I usually read a little bit, and then on the way to the Thunderdome, I always play like a motivational speaker, like Eric Thomas or Jocko Willink or something like that. Because as you know, Greg, it's like no matter what kind of day you had the day before, the night you had before, you got, like me, I'll have 15 to 20 for my weightlifting group coming in who don't want to be there, but I convert my energy to them.
Yeah.
So you can't just, we've had desk jobs before where you just like, and I'm not doing freaking crap today. And you just sit there, act like you're answering the phone, shuffle some papers around. But when you train people, you can't have days like that. You come in, like I said, and transfer your energy to them. Okay. Act like you don't want to be there because they don't want to be there either. And you have to convince them that, they're in the right place at the right time. So I started in the morning, very early in the morning. And then I have some hours off during the day, at least when summer's not going on. Right during the summer, like right before this, I just got done with an intro to weightlifting class for middle school kids. And then my next thing will be at 2:00. I train the PM girls basketball team. And then at 6 p.m. we have our big, kind of what we're known for here, our big circuit, big interval workout at 6 p.m. And then I leave here about 7:30, 7:45, something like that. So
love it, man. That's wild. So tell us about hobbies, interests, and pursuits outside of work. Todd, outside the gym.
I don't know if I have a lot. I don't know if I have any, to be honest with you. I mean, one of my brothers owns the Laux Brick House Grill in Bethalto. Him and we do a podcast together. Each I live, little shameless plug. But I don't have kids. I've never been married, not even really close to marriage. And so, like, I mean, a lot of my focus, I mean, I hang out with friends and family and things like that. But, like past weekend, all I really did was work on that Thunder pit, trying to get it ready. And, it's just, I think that's what's made me successful, is I'm able to connect with a lot of people here at Pride, like on a personal level, because I don't have a lot of personal crap going on.
Sure. Right.
I think one thing, I almost feel like it's a blessing and a curse. God sort of blessed and cursed me, that he blessed me with being able to connect with all these different people, time for them that come here, but cursed where I don't have like a family of my own, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Totally.
I sound like a big loser the way that came out, but that's what I mean.
No. One of the things we often hear from a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders that we talk to is when we say, "What do you do for hobbies?" They say, "With what time?" That's not an unusual sentence that we typically hear. So, tell us a little bit about the Eat, Slay, Live podcast there.
Yeah, started it, like, we've been talking about doing it forever, and we kind of played around with it a little bit. Then when COVID hit, and there was lockdowns, his place shut down for a while. Place shut down for a while. We really dove into it head first, doing it. Finding out how to be better at it, how to do it. That because you kind of saw what people were made out of COVID. The people who were in better shape, like physically, or they had increased, like started new things, or came firing back with new ideas for their business when they came out of that. You kind of see what people are made out of, and him and I both owning our own businesses. No way we were going to sit around. So we started that podcast, and basically we just kind of do what you guys are doing. We have business leaders, entrepreneurs, and maybe even people that sort of shaped our life a lot growing up. We did a podcast and kind of what you guys are doing, find out their story, and we make it we try to make it part motivational, part comedy, which whatever pops. So are we good at it? Not real good at it, but we love doing it. And we've just recently, we used to have this studio in his my brother's office at the Brick House, but now we've actually built a studio now at the Thunderdome, where eventually we want to be able to rent it out to other people who want to do podcasts. I know a lot of people, like, I said, how do you get started? How do you do the audio and visual and things like that? So our ultimate goal is to have people just come in, be able to press record, and just boom, make a podcast without having to do a lot of research and things like that we did,
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of fun for me to do a pilgrimage to the Thunderdome to knock out a workout and then actually record a podcast while I'm there too.
Yeah, we go up to the Brick House and eat. Well, dude, we'll hit it all, bro. Hit it all.
I'm gonna find a time Dallas can join me. This could be a good time.
Could be a fun getaway.
Let's dive a little deeper and get to know more about Pride Fitness. So, what attracted you, Todd, to starting your own fitness business?
Man, I'm gonna try to give you the short version. I'll do the best I can. I told you I've been working out and things like that my whole life. I have a picture at Christmas time one time of me getting my first DP weights sets. I don't know if you're old enough to remember those, Greg, but they were like the plastic weights, and they had concrete. Those like the holes were this the big, like Olympic size. Mm-hmm. I have a picture of me. I'm shirtless, of course, getting my first, like at Christmas time, getting my first weight set. So I worked at the Simmons Law firm for about 4 or 5 years, and I was what's called a legal investigator. Traveled the country just investigating how people got exposed to asbestos and a cancer-causing disease called mesothelioma. Well, at the time, one of the managing partners, his name was Jeff Cooper, and him and I worked out at the same gym, and I was into MMA, and I guess another hobby of mine could be like watching fights. I don't really watch sports, but I watch a lot of MMA, UFC, and things like that. I used to train jiu-jitsu all the time and box. I've been into it my whole life. We always had boxing gloves when I was a kid, and if we didn't, we'd make them out of knee pads. It didn't matter. We were always throwing hands. So the managing partner, he approached me at the gym, and he's like, we should get into like sponsoring fighters. They don't have a lot of money. They're trying to train. And he's like, do you know Matt Hughes? Now, if you guys are familiar with the sport, Matt, 9-time world champion from Hillsboro, Illinois. One of the baddest men on the planet during his reign in the UFC. So I didn't know him, but I became good friends with his best friend, who was also Hughes' wrestler. His name is Mark Fiore. And so I don't know Hughes, but I know this Mark Fiore. He's like, well, get in contact with him and let's parlay. Parlay. That's a good word right there. I just used.
Someone's using his word of the day calendar.
So, long story short, we up Hughes and Fiore and Robbie Lawler, who's another big fighter. They were filming the Ultimate Fighter show that was on Fight TV. They were filming it down in Vegas. So me and Jeff Cooper, we hopped on a plane, we flew down there, and we met with these guys, had dinner with them. So it's me and Cooper and Fiore, Hughes' boxing coach Matt Pena, and then Robbie Lawler. I mean, I'm sitting one time, I kind of looked around, I'm like, I think Mandalay Bay at a restaurant. I'm sitting like eating with some of the baddest men on the planet.
This is so awesome. This is such a great story.
Yeah, and this Cooper, man, he could sell freaking ice to Eskimos. So these guys are like, sure, we're on board. And this escalated from just sponsoring fighters to opening a gym in Granite City, which escalated into we turned the old Army barracks down there into fighters' dorms. So we signed guys on. They're like, let's do it. So we go down. We do a bunch of construction to an old warehouse down on it was the Melvin Price Army Depot down in Granite City. I think they call it the American Fort now. And so we end up doing it using those guys. We had a grand opening, and 2,500 people showed up for this grand opening. So anyway, people started flying in from all over the world to live in these dorms because we'd offer these training camps, and they could come in and live in these dorms and then come over and train. And they're training with Matt Hughes, they're training with Robbie Lawler, Hughes' wrestling coach, now their wrestling coach. And people come in from Ireland and England and Germany and Australia and Wales and all over the place and live in these dorms. And some of them would just be like, I love it here. I was a general manager. Part of my job, I'd find them a job in Granite City, like washing dishes at Jerry's cafeteria or something like that. And so as they were doing it, they had jiu-jitsu coaches. Shout out to Kyle Watson. They had boxing coaches and things like that, but no one of them knew anything about strength and conditioning. And like I said, I had been not just lifting weights and training my whole life, but I studied it. I'm a reader, but not just, I mostly read fiction, but I studied just weightlifting and training. Anytime I could get, I would go train with like RKC kettlebell, and I would go train powerlifting. I would go to a body, I always was just so you guys didn't have a strength and conditioning coach. And one of them saw me working out one day, and I wasn't doing your traditional, sitting there doing calf raises and, and curls for the girls and things like that. I was doing, more like I hate to say functional, people hate that word anymore in the fitness world, but it was more functional crap that looked like it would transfer over to even to MMA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm up heavy sandbags. I'm throwing them over my shoulder. Crap like. And so one of them approaches me and asks, can he work out with me? Sure. I'm going to try to speed this up. So
you're fine, man.
And so as we're doing, other guys are watching, and one of the first guys I trained, they were just kind of doing that local circuit of fights, kind of building their way up, and these end up making it all the way to the UFC. and having some success. And so, like after that, like I said, I was the general manager. I wasn't even paid trainer with these guys. I have this line of guys just wanting to work out with me. And wrestling coach that I spoke of earlier, Mark Fiore, he was very encouraging. He loved what I was doing. He could tell, he had wrestled for the U.S. The Army Olympic training team. He's been out at Colorado Springs training center. So he saw that I wasn't just some dude like, trying to make it look good. I was trying to make it better. And so he like, hey, we need you with these guys. And next thing I know, I have this line of dudes wanting to work out with me. So the guy, Cooper, the managing partner at the Simmons firm, quite a bit of money. And he was kind of a collector. Like, I'm going to go out and get this UFC thing. And then all of a sudden he would look over here and see the next shiny object. Oh, women's professional soccer. Whoop, he's gone. He started like Solo and something. So he forgot about Matt Hughes and Robbie Laux. He was with Hope Solo and those type people.
Are you? So can I just pause real fast? Are you telling me that an entrepreneur got distracted by a shiny object?
Exactly. So he basically is selling the Hit Squad. So Hughes and those guys, they had a interest in it, but he had financially backed the whole thing, so he could sell it. And they have to buy it. Long story short, so he ends up selling it to one of our competitors. Douchebag. So they had made me an offer to stay. Either they're really, really, really cheap, or they really, really didn't want me to stay. And so that Mark Story, who was the wrestling coach for Hughes, was at the Olympic Training Center, like, man, go do this on your own. You know what I'm saying? You can do this on your own. So during this whole time, I had been turning my garage into a gym because I hated to work out there because I couldn't get anything done. You know how that works, Greg. You can't get anything done there because, people always come up and ask you questions and, just you see things that need to be done. You start doing and distraction. So I'd set up a little gym in my garage. So, I took Fiore's advice and I'm like, I'm going to start it. I started making and I saw the writing on the wall before the guy sold. So I started videos of me training these fighters and putting them on YouTube and things like that. Started getting a lot of hits and attention like that. So I moved it to my garage, and Fiore is a guy, he like tells you to run through the brick wall. You just freaking do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got these big cauliflower ears. He's been, he's wrestled in Iran and the Czech Republic and all over the world. He says something. You're like, I can do it. So I can remember the first Monday in my garage. Now, I don't have a nice garage. Okay. My garage is detached. It has wood paneling on the wall like that. And the wood paneling was actually recycled. My stepdad did a construction on an old superintendent's office, and he tore the plywood out because they're modeling, and he gave it to me, and I put it up in my garage. So I'm not staying in some nice like Edwardsville suburb garage. Okay. So I remember that Monday morning, like, I can do this, and I'm going out to my garage and like, now what do I do? You know what I'm saying? So I started doing personal training, and I was still training some of the fighters stuck around, and just started doing personal training. It just kind of built up. I 2-3 sessions. I just kept building where I'm doing it all day long. So I started, me and a couple of I'm like, hey, what's Saturday morning? Let's do a little workout in my yard. We'll flip some big tires, some sledgehammers, and we'll have some beers after. It'll be so much fun. So we did that, and I think we took pictures or something like that. So what just started with 3 friends, kept building up. I think a couple of weeks there was 9 of us in the yard. I'm like, whoa, this is kind of out of control. And I wasn't even charging them. And then we got up to like 20 in my yard. I'm like, oh, this is starting. So my garage yard for like 2.5 years. I think one time I had 57 people like in my yard at one time. I have a pretty good sized yard, but I don't live like the country. I live like in the hood in Rosewood Heights,
Sure.
And it was pretty crazy, but we would do it. If it was 7 degrees out, we would do it. If it was there was snow on the ground, we'd still do it. I remember days like there'd be like, if 5 people show up, I can get breakfast. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how Pride Fitness started in the short, long version. So.
Wow, that's awesome, man. It just started happening. It just kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. That's fantastic. So, so what would you say if you were to say what started as just buddies hanging out and working out, pushing each other? What would you say is the mission statement, or the vision statement of Pride Fitness? And I'm assuming this is your first business then, right?
It is, yes.
Okay,
yes.
So what would the mission or vision statement of this be?
I mean, I don't know if you call this. I tell people all the time, I'm not a business owner. I am not. I'm a truck that just happens to have a business. You know what I'm saying? I'm just freaking so blessed. You know, and mission statements and business plans and stuff. I don't know crap about any of that. You know, I mean, what do I want to have? What do I like about Pride, or what do I want? I like. I mean, I like people that already work out and come here and start working out with us. I love the woman who's never lifted a weight in her life, to come in and do a bench press for the first time and love that feeling. I love who's able to do like a little box jump, who never ever thought they could do that. I love, someone who can come in all of a sudden, they see it on the free internet of someone hitting a tire with a sledgehammer, and they come in and start doing it. I just love seeing people accomplish things that they never thought they would do. That's my favorite freaking thing, Mission or not, you can kind of probably convert that into some cool freaking buzzwords and make it better. But that's
I mean, it's lives transformed through fitness. I mean, it's exact. Yeah, I love it. I know that G feels that same way. When someone finishes going through the onboarding process and the foundations classes, and seeing just that on ramp of them getting up and starting to realize fitness goals they never had before, and that their body can do things they never thought possible before. That's definitely a big part of it too. So we've heard a few things, obviously, about what makes Pride such a unique experience. Because like G said earlier, we've only heard great things. But are there other things maybe you haven't shared with us? Why it's specifically called the Thunderdome? Heck, man, why you're called the Loxecutioner? I kind of need to know this while we've got you on here.
I really, honestly, God, I don't know how the Thunderdome name came about. I don't remember who kind of coined it. I know I ran with it because I loved it.
Yeah.
We used to be the first moved down on Old St. Louis Road. We've been at this new location a year, but we were there about 7 or 8 years. And down on that road, it's really industrial. It's just, there's a welding place next door, a trucking place, and all this stuff. But down there's, I don't know if you've seen in Woodrow, there's this big giant dome down there. You can see it when you're in an airplane. It used to be an old rail car maintenance facility. I mean, it's huge. It's, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it was a play off of that, how it came about. But I mean, it so fits. We do this big circuit workout like four times a week. And when you come here, it's not really like coming to a workout. It's like you're coming to events.
Yeah.
Like tonight, like last Tuesday when we did it, it was 172 people at this workout. 172. So like when you're and we have one thing we have that's very nice here. Like some of our equipment might have Gorilla Tape all over it, but our sound system here is freaking A1. It freaking like a con. And there's 170 people, and there's people throwing punches. It just Thunderdome just seems to freaking fit it, So it's stuck, and it's a great marketing thing. So we just.
Now, I feel like I'm going to need to share too, just so everybody can see here. For those of you who are watching the video version of this, you definitely want to take a look at just a little bit about what he's saying here. There we go. Let's see if I can bring this into the stream. Is that big enough? Can we see that okay? Kind of tiny, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see it well on that.
I'm just loving some of what I'm seeing here on the page. Obviously, that's a great quote. He who sweats more in training will bleed less in war. But you can kind of see some of, oh, there you are, man, getting on the camera, doing the thing. Work out while you cry, sleep a little while, you're dying in bed many years from now. I love it.
One word comes to mind on that: idiot.
Great stuff, man. This is awesome.
We train like one of my real passions. You saw that picture of that girl that just won a national championship in soccer. One of my real passions is training athletes. I train a lot of high school athletes in the area. I didn't touch on this, but one of my best friends, his name was Tim Nelson, Nelly. He was the Marquette football coach. I had first started Pride Fitness. And he brought me on as the strength and conditioning coach up there. So I would go up to their facility, up to Marquette High School three times a week and train their athletes. So it really kind of put me on the map as far as training athletes when he did. He's now deceased, but he really helped kickstart my training athletes in the area, which is one of my biggest passions. You know, and Jonathan Denny, who was the CM girls basketball coach. I've been training the CM girls basketball team for like 11 years. The whole team, they come as a team. There's 15 to 20 of them. And we've had a lot of good success with the teams I've trained. So that's kind of something I mentioned about, but training high school is a big one here too. So
awesome. That's awesome, man. So I know like the businessy stuff is not necessarily like, that's not like your thing, right? But like
more on, Greg. No, it's not.
So, but what is
coach in me wants to talk about your self-talk here a little bit, but I'm going to let it go. Keep going, Chief.
What I want to know is like, so then we see now what you've built, and it's amazing. Like, where do you want to go from here? Like, is there a direction you're looking to steer your ship? What's next? What's the future here?
Yeah, and that's another thing. Hey, what's your 5-year plan again, idiot? But I'm really right now, and you kind of show a picture of that, where that homemade barbell was. I'm putting a sand pit out there, and I fenced it in. I'm going to build I sit on about 4 acres here, and I have a big field out there around that pit. So one of my big things is to build an obstacle type course out there. And I've started collecting obstacles and things like that. So I want to make it kind of like a Tough Mudder Spartan type training ground out there. I have enough land and like that. So that's kind of one of my next thing. I didn't touch on this. When I was a little kid up in Calhoun, up in Campbell, I would make obstacle courses out in my yard for my cousins and my friends. I don't know, you guys probably don't know if old enough, but like the old Battle of the Network Stars was a show on TV where they take these celebrity events, and at the end they do a big obstacle course. So I loved that.
The Battle of the what? Which one was it?
Course out here. So that's kind of my outdoor area is next focus, really. So 10 years, I don't know, but somebody's going to come and offer me $10 million for the place, and I'll be out of here. Maybe that.
Well, you kind of talked about this already, this idea of how you balance being a fitnesser as well as being a business owner and coach, and that sometimes you have to have your own space where you get it done so that people don't come at you. But let me ask you this. What would you say is maybe the biggest challenge or difficulty in running your business?
I think one of the things is my brother and I owns the brick house. We talked about this the other day on our podcast, and a lot of it's just like inflicted, but I'm always worried that it's going to all end today. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how successful we are, I'm always thinking that everything's just going to end. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just too blessed. The things are just going too, and I always are on the verge of thinking, oh, it's falling apart all the time, when that's not really the case. You know, and I think, because I always feel like I'm not supposed to be here. That's what I always think, you know? And so, but I also think that that's kind of what makes me work a little harder and do things better, just because I'm always worried. I'm always like, this could end. Does that make any sense at all? It's just my used worry about wanting everything to be perfect and everything to run smoothly and things like that.
Cool, man. What excites you the most about the business?
I kind of touched on that earlier, just watching people do things they never thought they could, and people have success, whether it's my high school athlete, win award, or somebody losing 10 pounds, or, somebody deadlifting 150 pounds, or just watching people make their lives better. That sounds so cheesy, and somebody watching this is probably like, oh, okay, he's just making it. But it really is, Greg. You know how it is. I know that's your motivation too. It really, really is,
I love how you described it, because it literally is like you're taking the thoughts out of my mind. It's like when somebody they're terrified of the box and they jump on the damn box for the first time, or they've never weightlifted in their life and they come to wow, deadlifting and power cleaning is kind of fucking awesome. I feel so strong after I do this. It's so cool for people to explore a side of themselves that maybe they never had, because so many of our clients, maybe true for you also, they're lawyers, they're physicians, they're physician assistants, they're nurses, and their day-to-day life is they're stuck inside, and they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And for a lot of them, it's really easy to get caught in this constant hamster wheel feel of every day is Groundhog Day, every day is the same. When they go to the fitness world and they are able to explore sides of themselves they've never seen before, and learn and discover things about themselves they didn't know was possible. And it's this really incredibly rewarding thing for your relationship with yourself. And naturally, it makes you better at relationships with everybody else also, when you have that energy, that capacity, that strength, whatever, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I think, and I'm sure this is the way with you and my clients, I think most people start going out for the physical benefits of it. But I feel like people stay for the mental benefits of it. Don't you? At this point, when I work out, if I miss a workout, it's just mentally, I feel bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm there.
1,000%.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's great to look good. It's course, it feels good to be strong, but man, I need it for my mental well-being more than anything, and I wish, and that's what I wish more people know. You can throw it on Facebook 1,000 times, how much better people will feel if they work out, but they just don't believe you. And it's so freaking true. You get off that couch and you come in and do something that makes you feel a little better about yourself. I'm no better feeling in the world, those endorphins start kicking and wow.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's at my present age, it's harder and harder and harder to compete with the 35-year-old or the 30-year-old version of myself. So adding extra pounds to my deadlift gets harder and harder and harder from year to year. And I'm at peace with that. And what I find with working out is a lot of the greatest benefits happen between the ears. It's for me, the storm clouds are the demons of anxiety that are always circling. And what I find is if I get a good workout in, it's those clouds part and there's sunlight, and all of a sudden I just feel a million times better, and I'm more patient, I'm calm. All the stresses of all the things don't really bother me as much. And I'm just a happier person on average, right? And we say it in our CrossFit world that the greatest adaptations to our program happen between the ears. And one of the cool things I have found is that while maybe I can't be quite as strong as I was 10 years ago, I can always develop and harness and foster greater mental toughness, resiliency, right? The capacity, the potential for mental growth is infinite. And that's really cool. I find that really exciting. For most people, the physical is what brought them to the gym in the first place, but just how you feel after a great workout is it's incomparable. I would literally go crazy without it,
What it was that there's a thing, you're a bad day. You're one workout away from a better day, or some cheesy freaking saying like that. But it's so true, man.
So let me
Cool,
ask
man.
you this. I know you guys could keep geeking out about this part of it, but I'm going to take you back to the subject at hand here, which is the Loxecutioner as a business owner. I want to know. So one thing we always ask every business owner is about their favorite failures, or like what kind of failure gave them a great lesson about business or life or whatever it is. So do you have a favorite failure?
You know what? I was a cop very short amount of time in Illinois, and I resigned from there, but maybe not from my own accord, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that that's something and when I left there, I thought, I'm done. My world is over. I'm never going to bounce back. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. And now it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. You know what I'm saying? I would have done that for 40 years or 30, whatever, and just been miserable. I would have been miserable doing my job. You know what I'm saying? Because it just wouldn't have been me. So if that doesn't happen, then I'm not here, and I'm not happy like I am now. You know?
Yeah,
Absolutely. So for you, it's the law firm thing that didn't pan out is now it's opened the door for you to experience joy and fulfillment in a new way.
Yeah. Yes. I think, like anytime you failed or anything like that, happy where you are now, all the failure you had have put you in the right place. You know what I'm saying? And if you're somebody who believes in I do, I mean, he does that stuff for a reason. Generally, it's to make you a little tougher, but, put you on that right path.
So here's a fun question for you, Todd. In the last 5 years, like what new belief or behavior or habit has most improved your life?
I think, and you see this a lot now, like on the social media stuff, I think I've been a lot more like better about trying self-improvement. You know what I'm saying? Like you see, that's to be a big fad now. And I hate to even say that, but just self-awareness and self-improvement has become one of my biggest things. And maybe it goes back a little farther than 5 years, or maybe it wasn't quite that long, but that's one of my things that I really try to work on now that I feel like in the past that I did. Stepping back, kind of myself, this is what you need to do better. This is what you need to be better, and things like that. Just self-improvement, self-awareness. I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. I think self-awareness is key and crucial. It should be something that everybody works on continually, right? Otherwise we stumble into self-improvement, but hopefully we're all getting better at some point or another. So here's kind of a funny one. What would be, other than wearing Viking helmets, what would be an unusual habit or something absurd, some absurd thing that you love? Like what's a funny thing about you that we want to know?
I feel like I put it all out there all the time. Anyway, no, I don't think this is very absurd, but I have a very obsession with ice cream. And like I have eaten 24 ice cream sandwiches in a day before.
Okay.
And another, I don't know if this is absurd, but when I work out, I like to listen to love songs, like ballads.
Yes, that's absurd. Yes, that's the thing.
I thought I was the only person on the planet that did that. And then I read this thing by Henry Rollins and talks about he does it too. So I knew there was at least one person on the planet. Like my other trainer, Haley Frankie, and she's a badass chick that is a trainer here. Like she has to come in, and if we're working out at the same time, and if I get here and get the stereo first, she's like, oh, gee. And making fun of me for just listening to these ballads. But I don't know, there's just something about them, I just
have this image of you doing deadlifts while Lady in Red is playing in the background, wiping your eyes as you're chalking up. Lady in Red, come on. That's awesome.
Exception. Yeah. So love songs.
That's so funny, man. Like this is a true story. This morning, the group classes, Angelia by Richard Marx came on, and I'm like, nice. Oh, we're letting this play.
Was it during like the strength portion, G, or when did it happen?
No, this was during the Metcon. Like this is like during a sprint Metcon.
That's awesome. That's
Richard
awesome.
Marks still sounds great today, all these years later.
Heck yeah.
So, Todd, if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere and it could say anything, like metaphorically speaking, you get a message to millions or billions of people, what would your billboard say? Like, it could be a few words, could be a paragraph. If it helpful, it could be somebody else's quote, but like maybe quotes you think of often or live your life by. Like, what does Todd Laux' billboard say on or just over the highway for the entire world that drives past?
I should have a good answer because I know where you stole this from. You stole this. You stole this.
Yeah.
You stole it from Tribe. Right?
Say again. It cut out there for a second.
So this was stolen from Tribe of Mentors, wasn't it?
It's what the last like 5 questions were, Todd. I'm surprised you only realize it now. Like, yes, like the last 10 minutes of this conversation was all Tim Ferriss. So just so you know.
Realized that Tribe of Mentors didn't have pictures. I quit reading it. So that's the billboard was the only one I got to. I'm so good at talking about myself. Now, when you put like some in-depth question, I got nothing. Well, I mean, one, if I was like want to really, I would say eat lightning, crap thunder, just because it's something we use here. But I don't know if you ever, here might be something I kind of use sometimes is I have a one-eyed dog named Knuckles. And if you follow me on social media, Pride, he's actually laying right here. But maybe I'd have a picture of my dog Knuckles because he's got one eye and just be like, hey, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to start where you are. There's no perfect time just because he's not quite perfect, you know? I don't know. That's all I got, man. That was bad, but
I love it,
That's
dude.
not bad at all.
I fucking love that. You're a natural, Todd.
It's so
great.
good. I'm putting it on the billboard. I'm putting it on StreamYard here for those watching. You don't have to be perfect. Just start where you are.
No, really think about this though, Todd. Like, if everybody we knew legitimately believed this, so many people would be fitnessing more than they are right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna start working out before I come to your gym. I'm gonna get in shape before I come and see you. That's what I'm not quite where I want to be before I come. Like, what? You hear that all the time, right?
Right.
I don't want to start yet. I have a wedding coming up. I don't want to start yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's always a reason or something. They want conditions to be just perfect. You know what I'm saying? To start. It's never that way. You know that.
Well, Dallas, want to wrap it up here?
Yeah, my man. So Todd, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you and or learn more about Pride Fitness.
We're like an underground fight club. They can find. They'll find us down. They can find.
How about I make it easy for them? Everybody, you can go to Facebook.com.
What's funny?
Pride Fitness.
We were at our old location for 7-8 years, and we just moved into a new location. And like a few months ago, we got our first, the business, we've been in business 11, 12 years. We just got our very first sign ever on the, building. It was a cinder block. It was a cinder block building. Like you would drive by it and never know what was in it, what it was. There was nothing at all that showed you it was a gym. And so I came down here about 6-8 months and finally got a sign on the building. So it's always been kind of fun to be like, find us. It's probably not the best marketing thing, but we've already established I'm an idiot. So there you go. So
well, you can, everybody, if you want to, for those of you not watching, for those of you just listening, you can go to Facebook and check out Pride Fitness, facebook.com/Pride Fitness. You will see everything you need to see there. And you'll get to see a little bit more of Todd and the rest of the crew hanging out in the Thunderdome. Todd, I have loved every moment of this conversation. This
lying, Dallas. Don't lie to me. Don't lie.
I am not lying to you, man. This has been a really fun one for me. G told me before you had come on, he said, man, I think you and Todd are going to like each other. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to just swing by and jump on a box or two with you at some point.
Do it. I would love to have you. I talked to Greg. I want to get some of you and like Josh, Nemo, Shane McBride. like a little caveman workout in the Thunder Pit, something that we don't all normally do. That'd be fun.
I'm in, dude. And like for our audience, in case you're not familiar, like if you just start heading like from where we are north on Edwardsville Road, it's now extremely easy to find Pride Fitness because they have not only a sign, but in very big letters right off the main road, it says Pride Fitness. So super easy to find now. Plus, if that is not a dead giveaway, the people carrying heavy ass things across the parking lot is a dead giveaway also.
It's almost too easy to find. Now people just stop by here and want to ask questions all the time.
That's funny.
What a nuisance, Todd.
It is. What do they do?
Well,
But
Todd,
customer service is our number one priority.
well, Todd, man, hey, thank you so much, brother, for joining us, for talking with G and me today, and coming and chatting with the CrossFit Edwardsville crew. So glad you came, brother. Appreciate that.
Honored to be asked, guys. Seriously, honored just to be asked. So
yeah, man. G, why don't you sing us out? I know how you love to sing.
More about Todd on the website or just driving to the location. Come throw down with me, Dallas, and Todd at the Thunderdome sometime. I'm looking forward to that. And other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in. Listen to our podcast. Have yourselves a championship day, a beautiful and blessed rest of your day.